your chicken says marinated or seasoned, you might be paying for water, salt, and lab-made texture, not just meat. Today, we're naming 8 chains where the bird often arrives pre-brined, pre-cooked, or packed with moisture-holding additives. Let's start with Popeyes. Flavor-packed? Sure, but those vacuum-sealed bags often mean a built-in flavor solution. Then KFC and Chick-fil-A, where sodium phosphate and MSG-containing marinades help lock in that pop. If you're watching blood pressure or just your budget, this matters. Keep watching to learn the telltale words on menus and what to order instead. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great! Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. You hear marinated and think a cook mixed spices in the back. The truth is, at big chains it often means your chicken took a bath in water, salt, and binders that cling to the meat. That mix makes it juicy on cue and heavier on the scale. You pay for meat. You often get brine riding shotgun. Let's start with Popeyes. Those orange-labeled bags don't show up naked. They arrive vacuum-sealed with a built-in flavor solution that keeps every fillet the same size, same texture, same cook time. That consistency is gold for a lunch rush. But here's the kicker. That solution can legally add water and sodium while still being sold as chicken. So you're buying meat by the pound, and part of that pound is seasoned water.
Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen got its start in the early 1970s in New Orleans. Founder Al Copeland grew up poor in the Big Easy.
The big story over the past 30 or 40 years has been the rise of chicken consumption. Chicken went in the late 1970s from being a minority meat, at least relative to beef and pork. Particularly in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of concern among consumers about the consumption of fat and cholesterol.
Organizations like the World Health Organization and the U.S. Department of Health have linked red meat with cancer and heart disease.
It's like buying a sponge straight from the sink, then calling it a steak. It feels weighty and looks like value until you check the label and see why it's so moist. On paper, words like seasoned, marinated, or enhanced are allowed so long as they're disclosed. In practice, they're tucked into lines of small text you skim past while your order number is called. Those enhanced birds often carry salts and phosphates. The salts boost flavor. The phosphates hold water inside the muscle so it stays tender even if it sits under a heat lamp. Dietitians warn that these additives stack up fast for anyone watching blood pressure or kidney strain. It's not just the shake of salt on top. It's the salt baked into the meat before it ever hits the fryer. Menus help sell the story. Juicy, tender, hand-breaded. Nice words, but notice how the juiciness starts long before the kitchen, at a processing plant built to make meat act the same from store to store. Now let's move to KFC and Chick-fil-A, where consistency is king and additives do the grunt work.
In New Orleans, it's a culture. Popeyes is a culture in New Orleans. From football with the Saints to LSU to Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is one of our biggest times of the year. Well, I've been doing this for over 30 years. So if I can look at Popeyes and I can see the crust and I can see the kernels popping off the chicken, and then when you bite into it, it's that flavor because it hits you all at once. They never have lunch with the other group. Never. And they'll do their part, and they'll slide their ingredients, what they completed, over to the next group, and then they finish it. So it's a big secret. So you cannot
spot the red flags. Flavor solution, enhanced, seasoned, marinated. Ask for the ingredient list or sodium info before you order. If Popeyes primes the pump, KFC and Chick-fil-A show how chains turn science into the house style. Crispy, craveable, and loaded. Craveable crunch is engineered. Chains build it to travel in a bag, sit under heat, and still taste the same in every zip code. That isn't luck. It's a system. Let's start with KFC. The bird often arrives pre-brined or pre-treated, so it hangs onto moisture through a dinner rush and a long heat lamp nap. That's why it stays juicy at 8 p.m. after a football crowd. The trade-off is what holds that water inside. Moisture retention usually means sodium phosphate and modified starch. Great for texture, Rough on daily sodium limits. It plumps the meat, keeps the bite soft, and pads the weight. Think of it like a mattress topper for meat. Extra cushion on the same frame, and harder to tell what's underneath. Here's where health advice walks in. Sodium and phosphate additives are tied to higher fluid retention and blood pressure concerns, and guidance urges limits if you're dealing with heart or kidney issues.
90% of the customers that are buying, Beyond and plant-based proteins in the grocery also eat meat, so they're using it as a way to reduce the amount of animal-based protein in their diets. And we think it's bigger than just a trend.
This comes after several years of tests that were successful for the two brands. It'll be available for a limited time in nearly 4,000 KFC locations. Nearly a year ago, Beyond announced a formal partnership with Yum Brands to make exclusive meat substitutes for Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and KFC.
We didn't want to just provide another form chicken to the market. What we wanted to do was get that muscle structure right so that when people bit into the product, it has that whole muscle tissue experience for them that they would get with chicken breast.
You don't feel that in one meal. You feel it when it stacks up across a week. Now let's move on to Chick-fil-A. That clean, salty sweet pop isn't an accident. Marinades with MSG and cousins like yeast extract or hydrolyzed proteins boost savoriness. So you want bite number 2 before you finish bite number 1. Even grilled doesn't always mean simple. Grilled fillets can be pre-treated, then reheated with smoke flavor doing the heavy lifting when there's no real grill in sight. Flavor enhancers keep your brain chasing the next bite while the salt count keeps up. They're legal, standard, and built for repeat orders. You taste craveable. Your body logs sodium. So what can you order that isn't bathing in a test kitchen bath? Go plain and ask for it plain. Choose unsauced, simple grilled options when they're truly available.
We're still seeing tremendous growth in our business. So far this year, we're up about 20%.
There you guys go.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
We've kept that locked away in a vault, and we'll continue to use that same recipe.
None of the employees have access to it, so it is still shrouded in a lot of mystery. They like to say it's simple, so they want to keep customers knowing what's on that menu to be able to easily decipher what they want.
Skip pickles and other brined add-ons. Ask for no extra seasoning. Pair it with water and a side that's not salted or sauced. You've got the decoder for consistency. Now let's land this with what those menu labels really mean for your next order and how they nibble at your weekly sodium budget. If it says marinated, seasoned, or enhanced, you're probably buying salt and water in a chicken suit, and your heart pays the tax. The label sells flavor. The fine print sells brine. Read it. Your weekly sodium budget depends on it. If this gave you something to chew on, hit like, subscribe, and drop which chain surprised you. We'll dig into 8 more menus next, because the patterns repeat and the bill comes due in milligrams. Next up, sides and sauces. The harmless-looking cup, the light drizzle, the baked potato that turns into a salt lick. You might want to rethink the dip before the first dunk.